Welcome to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast, a podcast we are seeking to lead change while also seeking to understand. We are also here as a platform for leaders to come together, to unite, to develop and empower other leaders in the areas of business, family, and community. I'm your host, Lafayette Lane, joined by my co-host, John LeBron, and today we are joined by a special guest, Beez. Put those clap emojis in the comments section, put those hands together, make Beez feel right at home. He has joined us to have an amazing conversation today about how to build, scale, and flip your business. Just a little bit about Beez. Beez is a serial entrepreneur who has successfully launched multiple seven-figure businesses, including the Business Builders Institute, Aytak Solutions, Capital Beez, plus many more. He now mentors hundreds of students in building and scaling businesses with a focus on teaching financial literacy and how to strengthen access to capital through maximizing credit to turn credit to cash. And today he has joined us right here on the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast. Beez, thanks for coming on.
Man, Lafayette, you got to be definitely like on the radio. You got that voice, man. But thank you so much. I appreciate you and John for inviting me on here, man.
Yeah.
I look forward to this. I love sharing information overall because I feel that sometimes I worry, like, is somebody going to come get me? Because I be just telling all types of things that, why aren't other people talking about some of these things? But I think it's important to share information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's get right into the conversation, man. I'm excited. I was looking at one of your Instagram lives the other night, and you were talking about business building builders methodology.
Okay, that was just like Monday. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Business builders methodology. And I wanted you to really just unpack that. You said a lot of good things, of course. But unpack that for our audience, what that means and how that applies to entrepreneurs and those that are listening that are business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners.
Got you. So, the term business builder, right? Well, first of all, my name is Bjorn Hendricks. It's a Swedish name. I'm not Swedish. I'm Jamaican, but I have a Swedish name. And friends could never pronounce it, so they always call me B or Beez. But the whole term business builder, I actually coined it because the term serial entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And I was a serial entrepreneur. Nothing's wrong with that. But for me, being a serial entrepreneur is like, okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to make it. Oh, man, it failed. I'm going to keep trying again. I'm going to start another business. Oh, man, it failed. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the path for greatness usually. You fail many times, but you got to get up even more. Yeah. But in my corporate career, I was a IT strategy management consultant. So I was doing a lot of like best practice stuff. I worked for Accenture, one of the top global consulting firms. My last job, I was working at Microsoft, and everything was about best practice and methodologies and all of that type of stuff. So when I decided to become a full-time entrepreneur, I said, okay, I need a better approach, right? Not just, hey, I'm just going to get all in and just, I use that term a lot. You got to go all in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but make a structured approach, be intentional, be strategic in how you're doing it, and then see what's working and what's not working. There's this thing called continual service improvement, right? And you continually improve your approach. So I started saying, okay, I need a very structured approach on how I'm launching these businesses. Why do I keep failing? I know that that's the typical recipe, but it doesn't have to be. So I started building this methodology of the elements that you need to succeed, because often we get a little piece of the information. If you join a mentorship or something that's talking about Amazon FBA, right? How you could sell private labeling on Amazon FBA, you're going to learn how to sell private labeling on Amazon FBA, but you're not going to learn how to fund your business, maybe how to scale it, how to hire people in it, how to prepare for taxes, how to structure it right so that you could create a consortium, how to, when you start making money, how to turn that money, that cash, into assets to start creating generational wealth. All of these things go together, right? So that ended up becoming the methodology. And to be honest, it's not like I started and was like, okay, here's a methodology. It was like I had to go through figuring it out. And it was relatively short time. It's only been 5 to 6 years now since I left corporate America completely. And it's really in the last year and a half that I could say that I really solidified that methodology.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because, we hear people say all the time, just start. And we believe that too, or, failing is a part of the process, but there's still some type of strategy and structure that does go along with your success. Is that what you're, in essence, or you're saying?
Exactly. Because if you fail, the key is, I like to turn a loss, like I could take an L. I'm okay with that. But I'm turning that loss into a lesson, right?
Yeah.
So that's the L for me, is the lesson. But if you don't change your behavior based on that lesson, then you didn't really learn the lesson. Or, you know what I'm saying? You just got the lesson, but you didn't enact it, right? You didn't change your behavior. So to me, that was what it was all about, is I had to be really strategic. And yeah, I could fail at things, and I still fail all the time. There's still all types of stuff that go wrong. Man, this morning I was having some issues with one of my companies, and I was like, "Oh, I'm tired of this," but overall, it just helps me to get better and better, and I have to make sure that I pay attention to the lessons that I learn.
Yeah, I was listening. Somebody was talking a while back. He was telling me, I heard 9 out of 10 businesses statistically fail. It's probably true, and so I figure, what's that?
I think the statistics is first time businesses. 9 out of 10 of them fail.
Yeah. And so he said, so I figure if I start 10 businesses, the 10th one should succeed. And I said, that's an interesting thought. I would try to make the first one succeed, and then if it doesn't, try to make the second one. I don't think it's so much that you need 10. I think it's that you need to learn each time you fail.
Yes.
It's not about your first one could be a huge hit.
Oh yeah.
As long as it right, but there is times we can recognize, I think this is the wrong business or industry or whatever. Like, you're not going to try and open up a Redbox, DVD dispenser right now. You have to recognize that's a terrible idea. I actually almost at one point opened up a DVD kiosk years back. And then I started doing more research. I thought, you know what? I think the industry is going to turn. 24 months later, it did. Glad I did invest that 20 grand or whatever it was, right? And so, so I get what he was saying, but like you said, have a strategy. Take the L's and turn them into lessons, and let's keep using that L as a step to the next spot.
Yes.
Very cool.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I promise you, in the beginning of 2021, somebody told me that they wanted to open up a Redbox DVD thing. I was like, really? Like, those still exist? Wow. It's funny too, because I tell people all the time. People come to me, it's like, hey, I just want to follow my passion and this and this and that. And I say, okay, I understand that. However, follow the money first. And I'm not saying it to be shallow or nothing, but your passion may not pay for your bills. So follow the strategy, what makes sense, what's going to make money. And then once you start generating cash flow, use that cash flow to then follow your passion. So you really got to be strategic in what you're doing, for sure.
Well, and somebody's purpose or passion is typically the why. It doesn't mean it's the what.
Exactly.
Correct? So often the what will help you get to that why faster. So, for example, you may have a passion for helping children in poverty, but you don't have to have a business that profits from children in poverty. You may have a business that supports your passion for helping children grow, learn, whatever, clothing them, whatever that is, in poverty. And so a lot of people get those confused. Like, I got to find something in my passion or my purpose. And I'm like, well, figure out your why, but then you got to find out what's the what that will allow you to get to that why faster or accomplish that why. They may not be the same. It may be Amazon distribution or whatever that, I don't know. But yes, they're not always the same thing that I've found.
I love that. You ever heard Simon Sinek speak?
Yes.
Knowing your why. I love that.
Yes.
Love that. But that's a different discussion.
No, you're good. It's a really good. He talks about how companies start with a what, but they really need to start with a why.
Exactly.
And he kind of gives a diagram about it. Yeah, like what Apple does and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Start With Why, actually, the book.
Yeah, the book.
Yeah, several. Yeah.
There you go.
Very good. Yeah. John, did you have a question or?
Yeah. So in part of your what you teach is you're teaching people to in your profile is to scale and flip autonomous businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to that? Because I get scaling, but when you say flip an autonomous business, are you talking about taking their existing one, taking another existing business? Kind of dissect that a little bit.
So, a lot of times people use the word automated, and I'm very intentional in every single thing I say, right?
Yes, that's great.
But the difference between automated and autonomous is errors, right? Navigating errors. Automated, I'm going to, automate certain steps, they execute, etc. Autonomous is I'm automating certain steps, a problem happens, and we have a way to navigate around it without me having to be present, right? So autonomous, you have to have process, systems, and people in place in your business. And I think especially small business entrepreneurs, we often neglect the latter, the people, right? It's like, nah, nobody can do it as good as me. So I'm just going to do it. No, I'm not going to hire nobody, or no, I can't afford to hire anybody, and that type of stuff, right?
The kill switch.
You don't have a real business if you don't have employees, if you don't have process and know what are the steps for you to make money in the business. And if you don't also add in systems in order to make it easier. And systems is a kind of generic word, but often people relate it to tools, but it's not just tools, right? It's how those processes connect to each other and how they flow. So process, systems, and people help you to get to be autonomous. And overall, I got into everything that I created and everything that I do, and that whole business builders methodology is actually based off of one core thing. That's the cash flow quadrant from Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
That's John's book right there.
It is. I think that's like required reading. That and The Richest Man in Babylon is the two books that I say, hey, you want to start in anything, start with those before anything else.
Was that Og Mandino who wrote that book?
Oh my goodness, what's his name again?
I haven't heard of that one. I have to add that to my list.
Richest Man in Babylon. Check that. That is the core on financial literacy, right? And I grew up in a Caribbean household where I was taught things like, oh, credit is bad, debt is bad, stay away from those things, etc. Just use cash for everything. If you don't have the cash, don't get this, don't all of that. And I used to challenge the question a lot, or challenge those concepts a lot. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized, that doesn't work. You ever heard the stereotype, I guess, where they say Jamaicans have a lot of jobs, right? Now, you heard that? It's a stereotype. People say, they're like, oh, Jamaicans have a lot of jobs. They work multiple jobs at the same time, right? And to be honest, I know many people, friends, family, who've had like 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs at the same time, right? But they were still broke. So that couldn't be the recipe for success, right? So I had to figure it out. I had to say, okay, what else is there? You're telling me that credit is bad and debt is bad, but Apple has $150 billion in the bank and still takes out loans. Why are they doing that? Debt is bad, right? So I started looking into things like that and then realizing that what I call OPM, other people's money, is how this country works and most of the world works, right? That's why, China lends money to everybody and all this type of things, because people, the countries have money, but not all, but the countries have money that they still take these loans because they want to use that money to make more money, and then you pay that back. And especially if you had it interest free or at a certain, if you balance it out so that the profit that you're making exceeds what you took in, that's really how the world starts to work. Right? And once I learned that lesson, it was like, okay, I gotta change everything. And that's why financial literacy is part of one of my teaching points, one of my central message, because it's entrepreneurship, it's financial literacy, and then it's really mindset, right? And when I say mindset, you see like how I changed my mindset of debt and credit, things like that. You need to challenge everything. And a lot of times we say things like, oh, wow, what's a good one? You ever heard somebody say trust fund baby?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a trust fund? Are you a trust fund baby? Either of you?
No.
Did you ever look into becoming a trust fund baby or creating a trust fund baby with your kids?
No.
But yet you've heard the term many times.
Yes.
Right? I'm not going to get political, but when people heard that Donald Trump paid $700 in taxes, a lot of people were like, oh, that's terrible. He's rich. He should be paying more. I was like, okay, well, how did you do that? So I could do it too. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you see what I'm saying? That's the mindset shift. It wasn't, oh man, that's messed up. It was, well, I want to learn how to. Yeah. Oh, trust fund baby. We keep saying that word. Well, I need to know what that really is. Mergers and acquisitions. Oh man, I can't afford to buy a company. Well, wait, maybe I can. Let me learn. Let me look into it first. Right. So now one of the things that my students are going crazy about is because I teach how to acquire businesses with $0 out of your own pocket. And just that concept alone is a mindset shift. What do you mean $0 out of my pocket? I didn't say that you don't pay and there's no money transferred. It's just not coming from you. Mm-hmm. So mindset becomes the first thing because you have to be able to, think differently. And then the world is open from there. Yeah,
I'd read a stat that only, I think it was like 2 or 5% of inherited wealth ever gets bigger. So that eliminates the thought that people think that only people who have been given wealth can get wealthy. Mm-hmm. Statistically, most millionaires are brand new first-time millionaires. They're not given by their parents. Most kids who have been given millions, if not taught how to think properly, actually lose the millions. And because they haven't been taught to think like dad was when he created it or mom when she created it.
Definitely.
Fun fact.
That's the secret of generational wealth right there. It's not the wealth you create. It's the information you pass down. Because I can give all the wealth in the world to my son, but if he doesn't know how to grow it or to keep it, then it doesn't matter anymore. So the information is more important at financial literacy again.
Yeah, we just had Zig Ziglar on the.
Go ahead, bro.
As we just had Zig Ziglar on the show, and he said, "Inheritance is what you leave with somebody, and a legacy is what you leave in somebody." So right along what you said. Go ahead, Lafayette.
I'm glad you brought up that piece about the financial literacy and the mentoring because I wanted to tap into that. In your bio, I know that's something that you're passionate about, mentoring students and building and scaling businesses with the focus on teaching the financial literacy part. What advice or some tips would you give to entrepreneurs who are trying to secure more funding for their business? I know you just talked about starting with the $0, but can you go more into that, those that are trying to secure more funding and find that financial literacy path to take them on their entrepreneur?
For sure. So, and that became a central component of the business builders methodology is credit, right? Credit, I didn't realize how important it was. When I first started as a full-time entrepreneur, I was doing Amazon FBA. And at that time, there was another guy in there and we were coming up at the same time. We were pretty much on the same level with everything. Mm-hmm. He started pretty much exactly on the base level, but then he was ordering like 50,000 units of product for his inventory when I was ordering like 5 or 10,000. And I was like, hey, you're not selling that much more than me. How are you ordering so much? He's like, oh, I just got a low interest credit card. Just get a credit card. I was like, you say that like it's so easy. But it is. I didn't know that. So when it comes to credit, first of all, what's more important is business credit, right? If you just think of it like this, the United States is a corporation. It is not a country. And I'm not just saying that. Look it up online. You'll see USC code. The law says specifically that the United States is a corporation. So all of the laws that are written are actually to benefit a corporation. That is the secret to the rich, is that they know how to use what's called a SPV, a special purpose vehicle, right? And that's a LLC or a C Corp or whatever type of entity, but it's a special purpose vehicle. Now you use it because the laws help you to deal with it. Oh, it didn't go great. File a Chapter 11, no problem. And then you can walk away from it. And you're like, what? but I can't do that in my life. That bankruptcy sits on my personal credit forever for 7 to 10
years. Yeah.
Right now. So if you focus on fixing your personal credit first, right, then you use it for a PG, which is personal guarantee, to get business credit, right? Now with business credit, that's where the magic hits. Now, some people may tell you there's other ways you could do it instead of a PG, but that's not the case anymore. 98% of the banks or financial institutions that you would go to try to get funding are going to require a PG nowadays. So you need to first focus on your personal credit. But once you get it, business credit is amazing, right? And there's so many options. I like to focus on the credit unions first, then the community banks, then the regional banks before I even get to the big banks. But any of them, including the big banks, Bank of America has a program called the Business Advantage Auto Loan. They'll give you up to five Business Advantage auto loans with one hard inquiry in every LLC you loan. Keywords: in every LLC you own, right? And you could have started that LLC yesterday. And why am I telling you about the Business Advantage auto loan? Because right now a lot of people are buying cars to then rent out on Turo or rent out on Hire Car or any of these other platforms. So there you go. You're a business owner. You don't know what you want to get into. Here's an option. Oh my goodness! But how do I get it funded? Well, you got these banks, these financial institutions that will give it to you, but they require that PG. So the personal credit first, then that loan will be in your business name, and then you keep going. And remember, in every LLC you own, because the United States is a corporation, right? So it benefits corporations. Now, if I go file and create multiple corporations or LLCs, I could get 5, 10, 15 and on business loans and then help me to grow my business. So that's the key. It's really just credit. And then there's so many financial institutions that are willing to give money. You just need to research them. You need to tap into the right people who are talking about this type of information. And then you need to execute on it.
You also teach infinite banking, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
it's
it's
a big thing. We've been here getting that feedback a lot from different people. You want to hit on that real quick?
Sure. So another core area of the business builders methodology I call generational wealth, creating generational wealth. This is where I teach about trusts and other vehicles of creating and building and keeping your wealth. Infinite banking happens to be one of them, especially when you pair it with a trust. So infinite banking is a concept, right? The concept itself, not all insurance brokers are going to know how to do this for you. You have to go to one that's actually trained in infinite banking, right? And they can take your existing existing policy, insurance policy, and convert it to an infinite banking style. The infinite banking now allows you to get two lanes. One lane is your death benefit. The death benefit just keeps growing over time. So when you transition, you have that money in there. Mm-hmm. The other lane is the money you're putting in starts growing in interest. And in some cases, you only put money in for 5, 10 years, and it keeps growing after that. Now you could go in and take a loan. So you're taking a loan from yourself to loan to yourself. So this is why they say that you get to circulate your dollar twice, run your dollar twice, because you put that money in there. Because that vehicle exists, it's tax exempt. You could go in and take some out, use it for whatever you want, tax exempt, put it back within a certain time, so it is 100% tax exempt, and it just keeps growing and growing. A lot of times you see the wealthy executives, they take a low salary. Mm-hmm. Mark Zuckerberg, I think, pays himself $1, right? Because you get taxed on your active income, right? So like your salary. So that's why they keep it low. But then at the same time, you'll see their insurance policy is huge. Mm-hmm. And it's usually utilizing things like infinite banking. So that's an amazing concept that I can't believe wasn't taught in schools or anything.
Ever.
Now I wish I knew something like this at 17 years old. But yeah, it's an amazing concept for sure.
There was the quote that you put on your Instagram that had to do with personal growth. And you said, make yourself a priority because at the end of the day, you are your longest commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you unpack that for us, that you are your longest commitment? What do you mean by
that? Excuse me. Sorry. So one of the things that I see a lot is that people, I have these 4 principles of success that I'll share in a moment. But one of them, the second one, is leave some people behind. And that equates kind of to when people say surround yourself with the right people, right? Surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you might become the 6, etc. But I just kind of turned it into, you got to leave some of the toxic people behind. Now, I have certain people, some great friends, but all we talk about is binge watching Netflix or the club or something. So I don't, I had to leave them behind. And if I said, hey, I'm going to buy this course on Amazon FBA, which is a true story, and they'd be like, what? You're going to spend $1,100 on that? No, man, I don't know. I think it's a scam. I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that. And I'm like, nah, I got to invest in myself. I am my longest commitment, right? So if I had listened to them, I wouldn't be where I am right now, to be honest, because that was the starting point of my full-time entrepreneurial career. That one course that I purchased, that one table that I got access to, that I networked with all these people, right? So to me, it's you have to leave some people behind because you are your longest commitment and you need to be willing to invest in yourself. And what does investing in yourself mean? A lot of times people say, oh, I don't want to join this course. It costs money. Yeah, how much is it costing you not to join that course? Or, oh, I don't want to fix my credit. It's going to cost me money. But you're willing to spend more money on your car that you're going to buy or your house because you're going to have higher interest rates. So how much is it costing you to not fix your credit right now as opposed to be paying for those things later on, right? So you have a long-term, hopefully people say life is short, but I also like to say it's also long, right?
That's right.
And, if you don't start now, you're going to feel the ramifications of the decisions you made here. You'll feel it there. So you got to keep investing in yourself. You got to surround yourself with the right information, the right people. Mm-hmm. If you go to Instagram and you go to the explore page and the first thing it shows you is Shade Room and World Star and all of that, then you know that Instagram's saying, hey, these are the type of things you like. But if it shows you Tony Robbins and shows you Elon Musk and all of that, then you know you're pouring the right information into yourself, right? So that's what it means for me. It's like, hey, everything I do, it has to have some sort of benefit that's going to come from it. I'm not saying not to have fun too. I went on a guy's trip the other day to DR with a bunch of friends, and we just chilled on yachts and just had a blast. No educational nothing. But
you surround yourself with people who have been able to get themselves onto yachts.
There we go.
Right? Different type of association
Correct.
than your buddies who can't afford to go to the local football or basketball game, right? Because it's a $200 ticket. And you're like, fine, I'll get it this time, but buy your own popcorn, right?
Exactly. So that's critical to me. Surround yourself with the right people and information and just keep investing in yourself for the long term.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, even when you go on yachts, the conversation has to be great. I'm sure you pick things up from friends who are also entrepreneurs. Like, what are you doing there? Really? That's kind of neat, right? It just comes out in natural conversation because you're passionate about it. They're passionate about what they're doing. And so obviously it comes out in conversation. I know you're having fun and just kind of chilling and getting sun and all those things, but at the same time, and you look forward to that association. It doesn't drain you at the end, right? They're not trying to get more out of you all the time.
They're
pour into each other.
Yes,
you're giving. You're pouring into each other.
One of the things that I dislike, I don't use the word hate, but dislike the most is when people say, hey, I just want to pick your brain. Like, it sounds to me like you want to eat at my life. You're not going to give me any food. You just want to eat from me and pick at me, until I die or something. And, I don't approach someone that I want to learn from in that way. Instead, I'll give you a story. There's a guy, I don't even know if I should name drop or anything, but he's a billionaire. And I somehow became, he said, yeah, I will. There's a good friend of mine. His name is Melvin Nunnery, right? He sold I think 30% of his tech firm to China for like $2 billion or something like that. But he's doing amazing things. Mm-hmm. And I met him coincidentally on Clubhouse, back when Clubhouse was, really popping, it was really popular and everything like that. And all I did was, he heard me speaking. He saw I was adding value. So he, congratulated me and approached me. I didn't even know he was a billionaire at the time. Mm-hmm. So then we started having conversations. Now I found out he was a billionaire. You would think I would be like trying to get a connect or get in somehow. Mm-mm. All I did is we're on a couple calls, and I'm just listening to him and listening to the things that he's saying. And then another call we had, I was like, hey, Melvin, so, based off of what you was telling me before, I did something for you that I think you're going to love. And he's like, what's that? I was like, well, I know you wanted that access to get your platform into Africa. I got you a meeting with one of the prime ministers or something of one of the countries out there that I had. So he's like, what? He's like, yeah, unfortunately it didn't get to happen because COVID. No, actually something happened. There was like political distress at the time or something like that. But he did the meeting again. But the fact that I didn't ask for nothing. I didn't go to him for anything. All I did was listen to what he was saying, identified a need that he had, went and found the solution for him, executed on it. And to this day, he calls me like a good friend. And I'm like, wow, this guy's calling me, So to me, that is critical if you are giving into people instead of always trying to keep something away from them. And that's how you continue to build and continue to have the right people around you.
That was a great nugget of information, because we hear all the time people like, I need a mentor. I'm like, you're saying you want somebody to tell you how to do everything every step of the way because you don't want to make any failed steps. But if you do want a mentor, and we all want and need good people and mentorship around us, add value to them. They're not perfect. They need things. Send them a customer. If their content doesn't have a lot of people dialoguing in it, get in there and start dialoguing and sharing on their content. You do these things and add value to what they're trying to accomplish, and they're definitely going to notice.
So you see what you just said too, John? You said send them a customer or something with their content or whatever, right? You didn't go to them and say, hey, I just want to know how I can add value to you. You tell me what I need to do to you. Okay, now I got to think about it. I don't even know what you could add. I don't know. You're giving me more work to do right now. You know what I'm saying? So instead of that, when you go and just listen and network and you find a potential way that you could add value, and then you offer it to them, that wins all the time.
Love it.
So people haven't realized that you have a Business Builder Institute, and we've been touching on pieces of it the entire conversation. I went into your Business Builder Institute and I looked at all the different things you offer. I think it's great. It's a curriculum. Somebody doesn't know. It's $499.97, so about $5,000. And someone would say, that's so expensive. I've spent more than that on other programs, and it's been amazing. So I don't think it's expensive at all, because you give a lot in here. Mindset, business models and strategies, business structure and strategies. And I'm paraphrasing here. Processes, systems on automating workflows and communication, how to hire remote workers, credit, generational wealth building. And then you go into, that doesn't even count the ebooks, the VIP access information, or the group access. I just don't have time to read all these things. I was reading this, and I'm reading a book right now. It talks about how to sort of properly sell packages and stuff. And it says, make it so good that someone would have to be dumb not to take it. And the first thing I thought of when I read this was, this is exactly what I've been reading in the book. I don't even remember the name of the book, or I tell you. I was just reading it last night, but when you have 4 of them, you don't remember all the titles. But exactly what they talk about, and the value you add in here is incredible. And you were talking about how someone doesn't want to spend $1,000 on a course, but I think people need to understand that you're investing in yourself. Therefore, you're betting on you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Your longest commitment. Yeah.
There you go.
And
often people take courses, and I forget the statistic, but it's something like 80% of people who take courses don't even finish watching the videos.
Crazy.
Right? That's not the course's fault or the mentor's fault, the teacher's fault. That's you that decided to give up or to stop. One of the things that kills me, a lot of us are willing to go to college for 4, 5, 6, 7+ years, right? And be broke during that time. I was the ramen noodle king of king chef. Like I used to make all type of forms of ramen noodles because that's all I could afford when I was in college. Right? I was broke. For the chance to make a middle class income. But if you go and start a business and 3 months into it, you ain't making any money, you're like, oh, I'm done, forget this, right? So that is crazy to me. It's like, you know, it's up to you to make things successful. The reason why, well, I believe there's 2 reasons why that percentage is so high, 80% that don't, you know, even finish the courses or aren't successful or whatever. One is because of yourself. You gave up. You weren't motivating yourself. I like to tell people I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm an inspirational speaker because you got to motivate yourself first. But I can inspire you and show you certain things that you can do, right? But then the second thing that I think contributes to that success rate and failure rate is that I believe you're just getting a piece of the puzzle, right? So I think I mentioned to you guys before that if you get an Amazon FBA course and you learn how to, you know, sell on Amazon FBA, doesn't mean you learn the other things that goes into running a business. How to get funded, how to structure it, how to prepare for taxes, how to, I'm use Donald Trump again. He has 1,100 LLCs, right? Why is that? Well, because there's a thing called a consortium that you could build. You can literally create these different entities that could then help each other in different ways. I could, you know, I have a HR company that does all of the HR for all my internal companies, but also has external clients. I have a financial services company that does all of the bookkeeping and funding and everything for all my internal companies, but then also has external clients. And I'm starting this new company over here. Well, this one over here could loan it the money for the startup because this one's already cash flowing. And do I have to pay it back? Well, only if I'm going to sue myself. I don't have to. So, you know, even knowing things like that is, you know, you're not able to connect the dots. And some people are. Some people they're gonna go above and beyond what they learned in the course, but some people won't. So those are the 2 keys I think that you know why that rate is so high.
Are there certain characteristics that you find make certain types of businesses more scalable? Because I know you teach scaling businesses. Like, is there certain things that you look for?
Yeah. So I haven't been able to articulate the exact reason, right? But I can give you an example. I had a trucking company too. And I think trucking is an amazing industry to be in as well. A lot of opportunity. I know a lot of people that did great in it. However, it required me to be more immersed in the industry, right? And I didn't want that. I remember the cash flow quadrant, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Over here, it's employee and then self-employed. You're working in the business. When you move to business owner, you're working on the business. Now you're going to have employees in place. You're going to have process systems and people. That's my key 3, right? You're going to have those process systems and people in place. And then scaling is going to, you know, be, well, how do I improve the throughput through the process? Do I hire some more people to, you know, to increase that or something? In trucking, it was, well, all you could do is just hire more or buy more trucks. There's the only way you could really scale in it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. However, it was highly dependent on finding a good driver. So to me, it was like, okay, I don't have enough control in there for the scaling. I could go out and buy 100 trucks, but I can't find 100 drivers. It's really
unpredictable.
Okay. Yeah. So to me, that was and you see what I mean? I can't articulate what is that really of what's the common element across the type of businesses that I found are a little bit harder to scale. There's still perfect businesses to get into if that's the only thing you want to do and whatnot. But, you know, ultimately my goal is always to go to that final quadrant, which is the investor quadrant. And instead of working on the business, I want to work above the business, meaning Now I'm not even concerned with the end product of the business. Instead, the business is the product. I'm trying to see how to sell that business. I'm trying to make sure, oh, wait a minute, we don't have the structures in place. So if I sell it, it won't be attractive to a buyer. We don't have this, we don't have that. You see what I'm saying? So instead of me being focused on the end product and the customer and such, and yes, I do have process and systems and people below me operating on it, which is still a decent situation. But instead of that, I just want to be completely above it. Too often people want to be a CEO. I don't want to be a CEO anymore. I want to hire a CEO, right? For every company I own, I'm trying to hire CEOs in it. So I'm completely detached from it. I'm just the investor. And other people can have equity too. It's not, everybody always wants to keep everything for themselves. No, I'd rather have, what's the saying? I'd rather have 10% of something huge than 100% of something small, right?
Yeah,
so,
they say you can have 100% of your own efforts or 1% of 100 efforts.
There we go.
What would you choose?
There we go.
Absolutely.
That's me all day.
Listen, stay connected to Beez. One of the ways that you can do that is on Instagram at Business Builder Beez. And we'll make sure to put your course information in our show notes, the link there, so people can go get that and make that investment into themselves. Stay connected to UnScripted here at UnScripted Leadership on all social media platforms. Our website is unscripted-leadership.com. And of course, our podcast is available on all streaming platforms. Again, we say thank you to our special guest, Beez, who dropped so many gems in this episode today about how to build, scale, and flip your businesses, and so much more information beyond that. As always, we're here to build bridges and not walls. Bridges connect and walls divide. Until next time.